Hey everyone, it is Zach, and Pokemon Home has finally become compatible with Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. So we're going to jump into it, check out the app a little, and if you guys enjoy this content, do not forget to like and subscribe. Let me know for the question of the day, what Homemon are you most excited for to come to Scarlet and Violet? For me, it's probably Ursaluna, but we'll have to see how it goes. Regieleki's back and all that stuff, and we'll have to see when they're VGC viable. So you jump into the app after all the updates and this and that, and it'll load up for a minute. And the first thing you want to check out is the points. So I think the points here are really good if you go to Scarlet and Violet. So we'll go ahead and check out the points, and 1 point equals 10 league points. Now usually it's like 10 points equals 1 battle point for like previous games and stuff, but you see here I have 30,000 points. I did have 80,000, but I can turn that into 300,000 league points, which I feel like is a pretty good conversion rate. I feel like it's finally useful now that you can buy competitive items, vitamins, the bottle caps and all that stuff, nature mints with this, and I feel like it's actually worth it for once. So if you have a bunch of home points saved up like I did, make sure you go and use those. It'll make your EVing your next team a whole lot easier and a little less grindy. I already took 50,000 of my points and turned it into 500,000 league points, so I'm gonna save the rest for now. But now we get into the Pokedex. The Pokedex has been updated to show all the Paldean region mons, and the list feels really small when you look at just the Paldean mons. But so from here you can get their Pokedex entries, all this and that, and you can see the different forms if you have a shiny form or whatnot. I don't think I've put any shinies in yet from the Paldea region. But yeah, just like you can go in and you can switch it to the shiny form and see what it looks like there. You can read the Pokedex entries for all the compatible games, and if they have form changes, you can check out some form changes. For example, for Savali, you can go through and check out all the type forms. Not too much there with the Paldea region. There's not too many form changes here. We got Mousehold, and I've only put in a family of 3, so that's the only one showing up for now. Next up, we got our Pokemon. So this is the option that you pick if you want to sort out all the Pokemon throughout your different games and throughout home. And what I really like about this is that the save files are now on your Switch, unlike the DS where it was on your cart. So no matter what game you have plugged in, anything that has a save file on your Switch, you will have access to, so you don't have to switch out carts to do anything. It's been like that since it moved to the Switch, which I think is really awesome. And we got our home box. So on the left is your Pokemon Home Pokemon, and then your box over here is what's left. I just finished up the Arceus video, so let's move Arceus back. Goes right there after the shiny Shaman, and these guys are allowed in. So as you can see, any Pokemon that has not been moved to Scarlet and Violet yet, it has a Terra type based on one of its original typings. So as you can see, Thundurus here is electric and flying. It is the electric Terra type. It seems like so far it's just the first type, and Pokemon that aren't allowed do not have a Terra typing. Yeah, it looks like it's just the first type. Yeah, so if you want to change the Terra type there, you know what type you're starting out with. It's whatever's type is listed first. For the next up, we are going to go to my VGC mons, and here is my collection of Incins, Whimsicots, and Rillabooms from Sword and Shield VGC. When I start out, I tend to breed and I don't recycle mons with EV spreads. Eventually that stops, but now as you can see here, this one's already been edited, so the moves are saved for Scarlet and Violet, but the one next to it, it has Uproar, Endeavor, Woodhammer, and Boomburst. That's because I haven't edited any of the moves yet for Scarlet and Violet. If I move this Rillaboom here, it'll show me this disc, and from this disc I can change moves. So I'm going to go over to the single selector, and now you can see that you have the option to forget moves and change moves. So from here I can go to change moves, and you can choose move 1, move 2, move 3. And what is going to be available is the moves that are possible for this Pokemon to learn in Scarlet and Violet. So Rillaboom here, it doesn't have a Grassy Glide. As you can see, Grassy Glide is not on this list because Rillaboom does not learn Grassy Glide in Scarlet and Violet, which is just so sad in all honesty. So we can move that back, and let's use this Rillaboom here. If you try to save without editing the moves, you will get this warning. So it says that moves that a Pokemon can know and the ability may differ depending on which game. So their power points, the ability will be recorded for each game. You may see a difference based on what game the Pokemon is withdrawn to. When you want to withdraw a Pokemon from home, it can remember moves that it knew in other games too. So the same can go for abilities, and any Pokemon that is hyper trained below level 50 or below level 100 can't be moved back into BDSP, or I would have to say Sword and Shield. The warning only says Sword and BDSP. It doesn't mention Sword and Shield at all, but I would have to say both games should work the same. I'm not 100% certain on that yet, but it's any Pokemon that you hyper train, because hyper training in Scarlet and Violet is done at level 50. And then if you hyper train them on at level 50, you can't bring it back into BDSP until it reaches level 100. And that's probably because the game is coded to check for hyper training at level 100. So if it's hyper trained and it's not at level 100, it probably causes some issues with the game. So I'm glad they figured that out before it was a bug. But here I can move this Rillaboom in, and when I save it, it will save those moves. Now, if I want this Rillaboom, that the moves have already been edited, to have Grassy Glide again, what I can do is I can open up this home box with my Sword or Shield file and then give it Grassy Glide from there. But whenever it goes into Scarlet and Violet, anytime that Grassy Glide is there, it's going to be replaced with one of its other level up moves. So the next thing I want to add is the red no cross marking. That signifies that this Pokemon cannot be moved into this game. So this is going to change based on what Pokemon is allowed, based on what game you're putting it into. So Xerneas here, right now Xerneas is not allowed into Scarlet and Violet, so you can't put it in, but you can put in one of these Tyrannotars. Notice how it doesn't have one of those marks. Another mark you want to look out for is this G. That G signifies that this Pokemon came from Pokemon Go, and usually that's not an issue. I do believe for some legendaries, at least that's how it was in Sword and Shield, you need to have had a regular version in it before you move it to Sword and Shield. I don't know the exacts of that because I have a living dex, so that really doesn't bother me. And the last thing I heard, so this Charizard has Blaze. If I move it up into Scarlet and Violet and change its ability to Solar Power, when I move it back, it might have Blaze again. Like if I move it into BDSP, it'll have Blaze unless I change its ability in that game as well. It seems like Sword and Shield, it doesn't count because I know that this one, I'm pretty sure this Charizard, I did ability patch it, but I'm not certain because this one originally came from Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I'm uncertain on that. I don't feel like jumping around between different games to figure it out. So in all honesty, just read up on it on Cerebi or Twitter and figure it out from there. But it seems that if this Pokemon could have a hidden ability in Scarlet and Violet, but not have it in BDSP, for example. The next thing I want to talk about is legality. So we had a lot of questions once Home came out, especially with tournaments like locals coming back, and then bigger ones like Milwaukee Regionals and NAIC coming up. So far with Regulation C, any Pokemon that is VGC legal needs to have the Paldean symbol on it. So if you take a look at Magazone over here, next to the English stamp, you can see a terrestrialization crystal next to the English right before the circle, triangle, square markings on the right side. That symbol signifies that this Pokemon was captured and caught in the Paldea region, which is Scarlet and Violet. Now this Goodra here, this Goodra has the Dynamax symbol, which means that it was caught and raised in Sword and Shield. This Goodra, even though it is in the Paldea Pokedex, because it has the Sword and Shield symbol, it's not VGC legal right now. So until they update the rule set and the regulations, you can't bring shiny Goodra in and replace it with a regular Goodra. I know that there was one buddy of mine that was really looking forward to that, but you can't do it right now. Items are okay. I do have a video on items coming out soon, so keep your eye out for that. But that's about it, in all honesty. We got shiny Pokemon that can get moved over. We got Pokemon with form changes. I also have a video coming out to tell you how to get those items. Oh, and one more thing. Hisuian forms. So for the Hisuian forms here, you have Hisuian Sneasel, and then in my other box somewhere over here, you have the Dex ones. Most of these Pokemon need to be attained in Pokemon Legends Arceus to be in Scarlet and Violet. Weirdeer, for example, needs to use Side Shield Bash at an Agile style, I think, 20 times. To evolve, you need to do that in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Cleavor and Ursaluna needs special items, so you need to do that in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Overquill has to use a move, I forget which move, but it has to use a move in Strong Style 20 times. That has to be done in Pokemon Legends Arceus. I don't know about Bastion Legion. There are some other ones that I tested out in a video coming out as well. And then for the regional forms like Electrode and Voltorb, they can be put into the game, they can be bred down, but they need to be holding, if you're breeding it and you want to shiny hunt it, it needs to have the Everstone. So the Everstone is going to keep those eggs the Hisuian form, but if it has a version in Scarlet and Violet, like Goodra for example, Goomy, when it hatches Goomy eggs, those Goomy eggs are probably going to become regular Sliggoo and Goodra. But I have a video where I test some of that out, so make sure you check that out. But the Hisuian Arcanine and Growlithe, they can be moved over. All of these mons can be moved over, they're in the game. Even though we've only seen like Alolan Decidueye, we've only seen Johto, Typhlosion, and then Unova, Samurott. Because their regular forms are in the game, you can move the Hisuian one over. So move your collection, have fun with it. That's going to be all. If you have any more questions that weren't answered in this video, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to answer the question of the day. And that's going to be all. So I hope you are excited for Pokemon Home. I am. I'm not moving anything over too much right now. I'll wait until they're needed, but I definitely, in these Legends Arceus, gotta do some shiny hunting. Either way, if you made it this far in the video, I want to say thanks for watching. That's going to be all. Until next time, I'm Zach, and we'll see everyone later.